the score. And I called, I said, Sarah, we are going to Canada. Yeah, we are going to Canada. Yes. And I said, Jesus, yeah. So here, we are not immigration consultants or immigration lawyers. We are here to share our experience through the express entry system and getting our approval as permanent residents. So in this video, we are going to be telling you step by step how we got our PR in 4 months, despite being 38 at the time of application and 39 at the time of approval, despite being told that we were too old and it was impossible. So we want to show you what we went through so that you know that it's possible for you too.
Yeah, and towards the end of it, we'll summarize a lot of points, give you a few nuggets here and there. So do well to watch the whole clip or the whole video. Yeah.
So brought up the idea about 5 years ago, but I wasn't keen because I had my personal concerns, like raising kids abroad and all that, starting our lives all over, because by God's grace, we're settled, we're doing well in Ghana, so why move? So I had to go through that personal journey.
I think it's a natural thing, personality differences and all that. So you have, probably if there are two of you, if it's a couple, one might be more adventurous. I think for me it was one of the things, right? So and because it was going to be a journey, you had to still be patient and then continue to sell the idea, until she came on board, and there were genuine concerns.
So that's why we keep saying that as a couple we should do it together. If you are also single and you're still 38, it's still possible for you. As a couple, it's good to work together because your points in the system, as we go, you realize that complement each other and better your chances. So let's dive right into it.
So basically, different countries have different projects to bring in, skilled workers. That for Canada is what they call the express entry. Here is to have a pool of individuals who qualify and have them rated on a point system. So now in that point system, they come in with regular draws or periodic draws. Until recently, they didn't have what we call the category-based draws and all that. But it was started, I think, last year.
Yeah, 2023.
2023. Categorize the kind of people or professions and
also language.
And yes, also on language. So there are also provincial draws that happen. The difference between the federal state and then the provincial nomination is that with the federal state you get to choose to live anywhere in Canada.
Yeah.
Whereas with the provincial nomination you are tied to the province.
I think for 1 year or 2.
2 years.
Okay. So the first thing to start with is to write your English language assessment, right? Or if you want to do French, you also do your French language assessment. Having 2 languages gives you more points. Even though I could write French, we had to decide, was it worth all the struggle of remembering my French again and going to write? So we decided to do the IELTS, so we booked for the IELTS, which you can book at British Council Ghana, right, online, and then you choose your date. Sometimes you can write the listening, the speaking, the writing, and the reading. You can book them on the same day, but most times you have to do them on separate days. And we did the computer-based. Some people do the paper-based though, and we wrote it at the Blue Crest University. I know some people write it at the British Council office, but we wrote it at the Blue Crest University.
Yes. I have friends who went to Kumasi to go and write it as well. So
on the day, he wrote a day, I think the week before I wrote mine. And so you go and meet a lot of people there. We unfortunately, we wrote the academic first, and then later realized that in the account, the express entry accounts, we needed the general test, right? So we had to write the general again. And my scores in the academic were better than the general. So I actually went for a remarking, but it didn't change. So yeah, because I got an overall score of 8 in the academic, and then I got 7.5 in the general because of the speaking. I don't know why, because the questions he asked me about movies and all that, I answered well, but who knows? Yeah.
My personal experience at the center is fantastic. I went in.
Yeah, very cool guys.
Yeah, very helpful as well. Yes.
If your computer is not working or you're confused about it, you just raise your hand and they'll be there.
They'll sort it out. It was excellent. Yes.
Yeah. So the next thing will be your educational credential assessment. You can do that prior to your booking your IELTS because it takes about 2 months if you use WES, right, World Education Service. But I can also use ICAS, right?
Don't bother getting your undergrad if you have a master's degree.
Use the highest level that you have. You need your school certificates, and then they will request for your transcripts from your school and all that. And it's not about the class that you get. No, IRCC, which immigration body of Canada, does not look at whether I had a first class or second lower or third class. They just want to see that your certificate is equivalent to a Canadian certificate. That's all.
And that's what the World Education Service does, or the IQAS, which is based here in Alberta, does, you know, for you. So the certificate is all that you can show. The rest of it is from the school.
Right? How fast they will respond to the emails and all that.
I think on that, I was assessing my doctor in pharmacy, and that was with the University of Ghana, and fantastic people at the academic section. I just sent an email, right? Yeah, it went very fast.
I think mine also went fast because WES has a feature that you can pay extra, and then they will now follow up with the university for you. So you don't need to send any emails to the university. You just pay. I forgot. I think it was $50 or something, and then they will do everything, follow up with your transfer and everything, and just in 1 week they do everything. So these are the key points that you need to do to open your account. So this is where your money goes into before you get the invitation to apply, right? The important thing is to do your language score, get your language score, get your education credentials assessed, and then now you open your account at the IRCC website. I'll also put the link in the description box, right? Also, if you have a sibling in Canada, it adds your points, right? I had a sibling in Canada, so that gives you 15 points extra. And before you add anybody, make sure the person is willing to give you their documents. Otherwise, when you get the invitation to apply, and you are now going to tell the person that, oh, I added you as a sibling, you'll be, that would be difficult. People use the CRS calculator, which is a ranking score calculator, to see how they rank based on their education, and then they simulate their IELTS score to give you an idea how much you will rank. So the total score you can get in the express entry is 1,200, right? Most times people are around 300, 400, 500. Those who get, if you get a provincial nomination, you get 600 points, right? So that one, when you get provincial nomination, you know you are gone, right? So people simulate their scores with the CRS score calculator, and then see how well they will do.
And I think it's a good idea, because if you get the
comprehensive ranking score
calculator, so check the links below, you'll find that also, right? It will help you calculate. So the pointers we've spoken about, maybe you are 38, like we said at the time we're doing it, we're 38. 38, you're 35, you put that in. If you got IELTS score of 1, 2, 3, whatever it is, what the score will be, etc. Now that will even give you an idea how much to push yourself, because
if I get 7, should I go and write it again and get an 8, or I'm okay?
Exactly. So all of that, the idea is the IRCC have put all that out so that before you get into the pool, right, you have an idea what you're going to do. Now getting into the pool is not what do you call it, necessarily like an application. It's you're only expressing an interest. That's what they call it,
I want to move to Canada, these are my credentials.
Exactly.
How do I rank compared to other people in the pool? Then now the government will say, okay, today we are doing a draw, and maybe the cutoff is 360 or 400. Oh, I got 400, so then they'll call you.
Then now they'll give you an invitation to apply. Information you're going to put into the express entry at this point. They won't ask you to verify it.
No.
But when they invite you to apply, that's when you need to justify all the points that you put
justify
in,
your inclusion.
Sandra also researched further and realized that at the point where you've been invited to apply, you're going to have only just 60 days.
Yes, you have 60 days to respond.
To that. So
otherwise, they cancel it.
You're going to have, you don't want to produce things that you can't verify.
Now you have your IELTS, you have your WES, whether or not you have a relative, a sibling in Canada, and now you also have to look at your NOC code. So NOC code are codes that are given to occupations in Canada. Every occupation has a NOC code, and you need to be really careful with that, because a lot of people have lost their invitation to apply because they chose the wrong NOC code. So for example, if you're a pharmacist, there's a clinical pharmacist and there's also the marketing pharmacist, right? So he's a marketing pharmacist. I think another key point is that make sure that your certification and what you are practicing makes sense. Because somebody could be, let's say, would have done a degree in business administration, but her family owns maybe a school, so she's working as maybe an early years education teacher. You can't claim points because your certificate and what you are doing does not match. But if you are there as an administrator, then it matches. You get it.
The whole point is you should have practiced what you are stating for a minimum of 1 year. And then if it's part-time, it should have been
accumulate to that 1 year. And sometimes people think that part-time work doesn't qualify. Part-time qualifies, but the total hours you've worked have to add up to if it was full-time work, right? Because I was doing part-time work as a nutritionist, and I was also an entrepreneur, right? I had my own business, so I used my part-time work, but cumulatively it added up. Because
these are the points that you would need probably to research more or to get people, someone you know, to advise. Again, drop a message in there
if you need any guidance with that. So you have to take your time and research the law code and choose the right one. And then you need to fill out the years that you worked, what was your position. So they are not really heavy on titles, but more of the description of what you were doing at your place of employment.
And that's where the focus should be, you know, what you are doing, because you are coming in not because you were the country manager
or director.
No, you are coming in because
of your skills,
of the skill set that,
you know, federal skilled worker. You know, the skills you are bringing to contribute into the economy.
So that's very frustrating that you wait out whatever period, length of time. I mean, thank God we got it, the whole thing. You get called up in a month,
and you're now
rushing to an employer you left 10 years ago.
Maybe your boss at that time has even moved on, and the people there are new and they don't even remember.
So
you know, because you need your pay slips and all. So it's important that probably you use your most recent employment. Now that you have created your profile on the express entry platform, now is the waiting time. You know, for us as Christians, that's where our faith comes in, because it was really God throughout, a lot of prayer and everything. Because I entered the pool in November, I entered the pool in December, and again, because you wrote IELTS when you are older, I mean, of course you can say that they've thought through the thing. You are married, so you've lost points on age, but your spouse's language score adds to you, your spouse's education adds to you. So if you have to let your spouse and yourself do your worst, do your IELTS, so that if you are losing marks on points because you are older, you are gaining marks because you have a spouse, and then also you have language score, you both have a master's or some form of degree, right? So now you are waiting to be called.
I mean, I mean, if you are single, this is not ruling you out. It's presumed or assumed that you are younger. So your age, you know,
will make up for you
points over there.
Because you only lose points after 30. After every birthday, you lose 5 points. So we got 55 for age instead of 100. 100 is the highest. So I think from 18 to 29 or so, you get 100, or 18 to 30, you get 100. So now the waiting game. So you you can't do anything about it apart from prayer. But don't waste the waiting game. Use that to prepare your documentation. You know you need reference letters from your employer. Start working on that. You know you need finances, because when the ITA comes, you need to pay your application fee, your visa application fee, your processing fee for each member of your family. You also need to show proof of funds for your family size. So if you are an individual, there's how much they require for you to show family of 2, family of 3, family of 5. As you go up, the money goes up. So use that to prepare your finances. Don't just sit your legs crossed and you're waiting. And then the time comes and you're rushing around. It's planning.
What do you call
6 months, 60 days
after you've been invited. And trust me, that's 60 days. Fortunately for us, we keep a lot of documentation.
Right. So it's easy to grab this and grab that.
Go back. That's important. So for you, dependent, if you are not the type who has been keeping records like we did, you start. Or go back and then start asking for copies of it from your employer. You know, it's better.
I mean, obviously, some people may not want the employers to know their plans of traveling, but this one, you don't have it.
I mean,
sometimes if you have a trusted boss in the office, and you can say, oh, you know what, can you help? I want to do this. So some people have that relationship, so it might work out, but if you don't have a choice. And make sure that it has all that you do, your salary and everything that you are receiving and all that.
Those details are normally in employment letters. You get it. So you can't find it. The HR will definitely have a copy. Or depending on the setup and all that. Yes, because I remember finding my employment letter, an old email, and that's why I printed out my very first employment letter from. You get it. So the whole point is that in this period of weeks, if it's 1 week for you, excellent. If it is 2 months like ours, excellent.
Months,
if it's 6 months, whatever it is, use it well.
Financial planning is key.
Yeah. Anyone who be watching this who is younger, you can actually plan ahead. Other people who took like 2 years.
So they know I need a master's, so they go and get their master's. I need this amount of money. They start saving, doing invest, because investments count. But physical properties like a house, a car, they don't count that. Investments, bonds, treasury bills, they all count.
If you are putting an application for a visitor's visa, the requirements will not be the same
as PR.
As for the PR. With a visitor's visa, the visa officer will be interested in your ties to the country.
Yes, but this one is more like, how much do you have that can sustain you once you land? Because when you land, what if you don't have a job for 3 months? Will it be okay? That's the question. Then you can also do the gift deed, where somebody, maybe if you have a parent who can sign and say, oh, I'm giving this amount to my son or daughter and I'm putting it into their account. That's okay. You can also do the gift deed, especially for the younger people. They do that a lot. But even still, even if you are older and you have family that are willing to do that for you, gift deed, and put in your account.
You present your case for parents or older siblings or even younger siblings or whoever it is who understands that the economic conditions, wherever it is you are watching this, is not favorable enough, and they want to support whatever you are doing. Yes, there are legal processes that they can go through to give you a gift. Right, and they will need to sign it off so that for any third party, in this instance, the third party being the IRCC or the visa officer right,
to review your case, to be convinced,
and be convinced that okay, indeed, this person has been gifted this amount, to support the process. They are all legal processes. So, because I've had calls from friends or from people we are talking to, and they go like, oh, if someone does a big transfer, you need to show. You need to show.
Like, it's not that you are just dumping money into proof that genuinely somebody has written that, I'm giving this money to this person. But other than that, you need to show a 6-month period. I know most people who travel know this. 6 months is, I think, a standard for most countries to show your money. So yes, the waiting game. So for us, but honestly, I think I wasn't very anxious waiting, because I had watched a lot of YouTube videos where people had waited a year and their accounts had expired. They had to start and maybe 3 months. And all that. So me, I wasn't really anxiously waiting to be called. So yes, December, January, and then February. So February, Vows Day present. So we were doing, I think, was there Hallelujah Challenge around that time? I think so. But I mean, there was a lot of prayer going around that time, and so there are these pages, like I mentioned in my first video, there are these pages that I followed, and I saw that, wow, there's been a health draw, and he wasn't home at that time. It was around 8 p.m. and I saw the score and I called. I said, Sarah, we are going to Canada. He said, have they called you? I said, I'm waiting. So I opened my email. Usually they'll be sending you emails from your account, so maybe your account has been updated. We are going to Canada.
So that was in February
14.
February 14.
So have they called you? So I opened my email. I was waiting, and I saw it. Hey. And I said, Jesus, I was just praising God and thanking Him. I just opened my laptop. We're looking at it. Hey! And they said, your status has changed. I mean, that phrase. Oh, God. God is good. God is good. Your status has changed, So we knew that, look, we have to get on board. And then talking about getting help. If at the point of any of these, opening your profile, putting your application, I'm not sure you need help, ask somebody who has gone through, like us, you can send us a message. If you want somebody who is registered with the government to help you to find a certified immigration consultant, right? We could have put in our documentation ourselves, but for a family of 5, we said, you know what, we are not taking chances. So we got in touch with some immigration consultants in Canada. Make sure they are not agents. We have done our groundwork.
we just maybe
We need extra
we are professionals, right? And we believe that if it's medication, right, medication advice, a pharmacist will give. If it is nutrition advice, a nutritionist will give. These are legal things. So get legal people to do their work. That's all. You know. So although every documentation, but we still thought, you know what, get a lawyer, get an immigration consultant in this instance, you know, and we got them. They were
perfect, and they are here in Saskatchewan, right? So they will send us emails, they'll call us, Sandra bring this, Cyrus bring this, you know. So we had to make sure passports are ready. You know how getting a passport in Ghana can be a different issue.
That's
so if it's not ready, please start working on it. For the kids, you need their birth certificates, and then you need to get a police report. So we had a police report done at the Nima police station. You can do it, you can book online, but you still have to go there. Physically. You know how Ghana is.
Again, you know how Ghana is, but again, this process was also really good because we did our registration online. It's the CID, they have an online platform. You make all payments online, etc. You go in there, you print out, you know, a certain chip,
the payment,
you know, the payment voucher. Also, you go in there,
do your fingerprint.
I remember so many years ago, I needed to do a police report for employment, and it was crazy. So in my mind, that was how I was going to be like that. No, they've improved significantly, you know, very smooth, and that's it.
So we got it. I think that is valid for a year, and it's not just Ghana. If you are somebody who works in different countries and you've lived in the country for more than 6 months, you need a police report from there. Luckily for me, my experience outside Ghana was over 10 years ago, so I didn't need that. And his also, when he travels, he doesn't spend more than a month, right? So we didn't need police reports from all those countries. But if you stay there in the UK, other countries for more than 6 months, you need a police report from there. So these are things that you can start working on during your waiting time, right? And then now you do. Previously, you could do your medicals and submit with your application, but now you have to wait for IRCC to send a request for your medical. So when they call you, everything that you said you have, your school documents, your work documents, your language documents, birth certificate to prove your age, you know, your children's birth certificates, everything, you need to submit that through the portal, right? And then you are good to go. So after that, there's another waiting period. So I think I think even though I wasn't anxious from the December to February, this time I was anxious, but I was praying a lot. And oh my God, like it's a time that you need to really spend time with God, not because you want something, but to clearly hear what you, because the anxiety level is real, you know, and you have all sorts of negative thoughts. Hey, what if they bring this up? Hey, what if this doesn't work? Hey, you know, all sorts of things, but you need to rest, you know, and trust God through the process. And I have seen a lot of testimonies of people who had it in a short time frame. People had issues where they asked them to verify this, and it took like 6 months for approval to come, or 1 year. So we're just confessing positively that our case is going to be, you know, by August we are getting a response. Even by July, that was our confession. July, we are getting a response and we are moving out, and we kept confessing. So we did our final through the assistance of our immigration consultants. If you want to work with them, I can give you their names. Info Place Canada, they are on Instagram as well. And so we submitted finally. It was in April or March. April.
No, April.
So after we submitted in April, and then May we got the letter to do our biometrics at the VFS office for Canada at Abelempe, you know, close to the Lincoln School.
So guys in Ghana, when you see videos and you see a lot of people over there,
they are going for different reasons.
You know, it's not everybody is going there for visitor's visa. And all
because you need to go do your biometrics.
That's where you go. That's the center. It so happens it's close to the road. So unfortunately, I mean, if I had my way, they'll get a bigger center and at least get people to be seated in there. But I can, again, positive reviews. As soon as you enter the yard, everything there is very organized.
So you know where you are going to,
you know where you are going, you know what you're doing, and all that.
And the fingerprints is only for adults, so your children will not do their fingerprints. So you don't have to worry about taking them in the crowd. You know that, and it reflects. I think the same day or the following day, it reflects that you've done your fingerprints. And then, so after we did our fingerprints, then we got our request. I think everything came together. We got medical requests for us and the kids, and then we got our biometric request for us alone.
So we arranged to go in that week, right? in that week, I think the next week I was traveling or something like that.
yeah.
So in that week, we did the biometrics.
Yes.
I think on a Monday,
Yes.
and then Tuesday or Wednesday we went for what do you call it?
The medicals at Akai House.
Yes,
you need to get there early too, because there are people who are coming for American medicals, UK, and then Canada as well. So you need to, and you need to try and count down, because of the rush. Sometimes you might go and because you are in a rush, you know, some of your results might be some way, but just relax and go through their patience, and then they'll upload all your results to IRCC. Unless there's an issue, then they might call you back to do some extra labs, right? So you do chest x-ray, you do blood and urine. For the kids, they don't do blood, and then you do general checkup as well. So that's when you now start spending some finances.
Yes. So Akai House is not the only center. There are other centers. You need to check that again. Get into the comment section if you need that. We are available. We can support. You know, to do all of that.
If you're watching and you're in another country, I'm sure in your country as well, there are centers for medicals. There are VFS offices for doing your biometrics as well. So country specific, you find out, and then you get it done, right? So after we did our medicals, now we're waiting to get your medicals approved. So when it's approved, you see it in your profile that your medical, you've passed your medical.
Another 2 weeks or a month.
After another, it was 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks, they came back and then said that we should send in a bank statement again. Yes.
If you are in a certain economy, it makes sense that they will want to check again, you know, the value, is it still there? But for us, I remember our immigration consultant was a bit, you know, about it,
because
the value we had put in there, even if there was depreciation of the CD, was enough to cover all of that. You get it. So yes, of course, and because it wasn't money we had just gone to dump in for the process, it was by God's grace money that we had actually accrued over time, you know, and all that. It was still lying there.
And whoever the principal applicant is, if your spouse is supporting with their finances, they need to write a letter and state that I'm giving this as part of our immigration process. They know the person is your spouse, right? But they still want you to cover it. And again, you have to write letters of explanation for anything that is not very straightforward. Okay, maybe there's a gap in your employment, maybe the child you adopted, all those things you need to write to explain it before they send you a procedural fairness letter. Procedural fairness letter
is a letter you don't want.
Because then they can, it's either they are denying you, they are banning you, you don't know what it will be, and it's complex. So don't let the officer say, I don't understand this, explain. You may not even get a chance to explain. So
that's a whole
anything, just write your letter, explain, oh, this and that, oh, I traveled here and there. And then you also need to, we forgot to include that. You need to include your travel history. So if you're somebody who travels a lot, you need to sit down, write all the days that you traveled. I think in the past 10 years. Process may seem long and cumbersome, but sit down, plan it. There's a roadmap, right? You plan everything, and it's in stages. Pre-ITA, post-ITA, right?
I think this video, the idea is to give all the general information as much as possible. You can pause every part of it, you know.
Come back and watch.
You know. So if you need a Bible, you know, to this is it for me. This is it. So every part of it, all the information is there. We've tried to touch a lot of things. You know, reach out, right? We are talking to people. A whole community is being formed, you know, people who need assistance, and then let's help.
Because when we wanted to travel, I think I didn't find a lot of community of Ghanaians who are done PR and who are willing to support. I found it for other countries, so that's the motivation for us coming out with our YouTube channel. Because the moment I posted about having PR, I've had a lot of friends and other people reach out to us. So it's not just, even though that was the motivation, this video is also for anybody else, whether you're in Africa, Asia, Europe, wherever you are. We are just giving information to help you through your express.
I mean, Ghana, we like to keep things quiet and you know, get our things done. The disadvantage is that it makes everybody must sort of reinvent.
Survival, but creating a community helps. So we sent in bank statements again, and then finally, so we sent in an email on, I think, Thursday in response to the request, right? And then so we're expecting that by Friday we should get a request. But I think our immigration consultant wanted to be very thorough, and when she brought the cover letter, I knew that she had done a good job. So we sent it in. Monday was a holiday here in Canada, and then Tuesday
Everything came out, yes. So,
okay, so I got a call from the immigration and they said your application has been approved. Oh my god. Said you are coming to Canada, and it was fantastic. So we got a passport request letter, you know, that you should take our passports to the nearest IRCC officer, which for Ghana is the High Commission of Canada. Right. But again, you have to read and find out. Some people say Egypt is quicker, Kenya is quicker, so you decide. Because ours took 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And it was the longest 5 weeks of my life.
I think when the final letter came in, I was leaving to Nairobi.
Yes.
And we had the option
of sending it with him to have it done.
That. I mean, that probably would have made the whole thing like 5 days.
Yes.
But you never know, because just around that time too, there were a bit of riots in Nairobi in Kenya. So all of that. I mean, at the end of the day, the parts that you control are the parts that you are putting in, right? And then make sure that you are putting in good quality stuff.
Yes.
You pray about it, you confess, you know, your positive words of affirmation. And we are Christians, so
because we had people who said, oh, they are sending it to IRCC in Ghana and they are taking 10 weeks, and you have to guard your mind.
She sent
emails to IRCC. What's happening?
Even I had a trip, right, and they were keeping my passport.
So good. So DHL too wanted to worry us. So they posted it. Yes, so they posted it, and we're supposed to get it the following day. It was by midday. I hadn't gotten a call from DHL because I know it's next day or same day delivery or something like that. So I called DHL, and then they were like, "Oh, they're not using our route that day." So, and it was a Friday, so it has to be Monday. I said, "Hey, no."
My office was, just 10 minutes.
So I said, "Sorry, you need to pick it up." And I told him, "Don't open it when you come home." Then we all open it together, because I wanted to do a video and show you guys, you know, about how joyful it was and all that. So it was, it was God. It was God. Because 5 years of me maybe delaying the process in quotes, but he had time for me, and he knew what his purpose for us was, and you know, it all came together. It was an amazing journey. So then you book your tickets, you start packing, you know, you start, if you want to say your goodbyes, you start saying your goodbye, prepping your family, you know. But really, until the day of departure comes, it feels like a dream. You're like, oh wow, we are actually leaving and we are going to start our life anew.
So look out for those videos. I think that's the summary of all this. In case you have forwarded it, please go back and get the fine details. Yes. But planning is very important. English education or French education, so language, speaking test you need to write. So you need to plan for all that. You need to know what you are learning and what you are preparing for, which centers you are going to use. Financial planning requires a lot of planning. The information you are putting in, make sure that it's information that you can verify. You know, because the IRCC, as far as I know, is very, very meticulous in researching and finding all those things. You would not want to put in anything that is questionable and will require that, you know, there's a lot of forth and back. Back and forth. There's a lot of forth and back, you know. Back and forth. I keep saying forth and back. You know, why we are putting this out there is to encourage anyone, right? Like Sandra said, we entered the pool when we were 38. By the time, and then the good thing, we should have said this, but the good thing is, as soon as they call you, they freeze the age, so you no longer drop. Yes, so you don't have to worry about that. The things that you need to do, please go back into the video, get to see all the things. Getting
approval for Canada permanent residency after 30 is possible, but you need to put in some work, right? Things like higher education, higher test scores, your spouse coming in with their extra points and all that. So you need to put in the work, but it is possible. And as people of faith, you know that with God, all things are possible. So thank you for joining us. We hope that you learned a great deal from this video. Look forward to more upcoming videos, especially the step-by-step guide on how to fill out your express entry profile. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.